After covering the mod Absolute Redemption, I wanted to look for more mods that served as an unofficial sequel to Half-Life 1. Basically mods that came out before Half-Life 2 and continued the story of the original game. So, in my search, I learned about Half-Life Invasion. Half-Life Invasion is a mod from 2003 and it was made by French people, and it also works as a fan-made sequel to Half-Life 1. The mod starts at the very end of Half-Life 1 where G-Man offers us employment in the tram that's going through the abyss. But rather than Gordon accepting the offer, he gets unexpected help from some Black Mesa scientists. Also, once again, cutscenes. In my Half-Life mod, only French people could do such an evil deed. So yeah, where Redemption told the story of Gordon accepting the G-Man's offer, this is like an alternative universe where he rejects the offer and escapes. Also, they make it seem like these reports that show up aren't from G-Man since they're calling Gordon retrieved here rather than escaped. But yeah, we start off in this base where...
Ah, Gordon, vous voilà enfin réveillé.
Holy shit!
Vous êtes dans l'infirmerie d'un laboratoire annexe à Black Mesa.
French!
C'est le dernier qui n'est pas encore été découvert par les Marines.
Anyway, we start off in this very remote base which is like a part of Black Mesa but is located far away from the main area where Half-Life 1 takes place in. This guy was telling us about the teleportation stuff that these nerds want to show you, so we head down to the test chamber. First impressions are pretty good. While the mod doesn't follow the Valve-like mapping style, it still looks very decent. Also, blue HEV suit. But yeah, the mapping is quite decent for its time. So this nerd here tells us how these people saved us and refers to the G-Man as the administrator. I find it interesting because at this point, Dr. Breen wasn't a proper character, and so quite a few people theorized that G-Man was actually the Black Mesa administrator. While he's about to show us the teleporter, the Marines actually find out this base exists and invade it. Get it? Invade it? Cause the mod's called Invasion? Escaping from the Marines, we steal the blue HEV suit when we suddenly hear from the nerd on the radio. Turns out, this suit has a radio. But, no flashlight though. Yeah, there's no flashlight in this mod. Instead, we get a lighter. This is hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. But in the vents, it feels like I'm John McClane from Die Hard, so that's a positive, I guess. Anyway, the radio nerd tells us to get a melee weapon and we pick up whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. This mod uses all new models for the weapons, which is a pretty neat touch, and actually they look pretty good. But apart from that, there's also tiny bits of details we need to look at. Now we can see what exact part of our armor is broken or damaged. We can now store medkits and power cells as well and use them whenever we need them. These quality of life additions are actually quite fitting for a game like Half-Life. Shortly after getting the pistol, we get the MP5, which I think has the worst spread and damage in the whole game. Actually, apart from the pistols and the sniper, all the weapons in this mod feel extremely weak, especially the shotgun, which was very unfortunate. It looks cool though, kinda like the Half-Life 2 model, or maybe the beta model mixed in with the retail model, I don't know, it looks cool. Now, I feel like the AI of the Marines has been changed a little. They are much more aggressive, they will start shooting quickly and take quite a bit of hits to die. This makes most combat encounters very ruthless and lethal. Coupled with the fact that you can now actually dismember the enemy's body parts, that's a very nice touch. We finally find the radio nerd and he gives us a fucking lighter and the code to escape the area. We now need to get to the surface and figure out the next steps from there. Also, this mod crashes. A lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. I also had to change the text files in the mod directory so English text pops up on screen. Anyway, we get into the elevator and move on ahead. Here we find the shotgun, which I mentioned earlier. To be honest, I either used the Beretta or the MP5 throughout most of my playthrough because honestly, the other weapons just weren't cutting it for me. Now we get to this room. Now, there's a turret right over there, one to the right of me, one above me, and when I cross these lasers, a giant minigun will start shooting me from here. And right after that, Okay, so here's where I have to get real. I hate this mod, but also I love it so much. The reason is, throughout my playthrough, there will come points where it does so many cheap things that will immediately make you mauled and cope, but it does cool shit and you're like, wow, where have you been all my life? Like this here, how you're going through the dark with the lighter gives off that Die Hard type of vibe that I was mentioning earlier. Or this part here where I did not expect the vent to be destructible like that, and it was really cool. But then there's the bad shit, and we'll talk about that. So, turning off these fans allows us to get to the surface, and right as we do, we get shot in the face. Also, notice the flashlight textures, that's another great addition. After having a heated argument with a bunch of Marines, I get into this tank and blow a hole in the wall. Very satisfying. Then I get shot to shit again because there was smoke and I couldn't see the Marines landing there. This is the thing I hate with the mod. It gives the Marines ultra accurate aim while my fucking MP3 can't shoot straight at all. Then we get into a battle with the chopper. Immediately my thoughts were that I was supposed to run or escape or find a weapon to fight back. So I ran straight ahead into a dead end. Then I realized that I was supposed to immediately turn left as I went out and head upstairs. Here, by chance, I found a rocket launcher. It wasn't clear, it wasn't presented to me, I just broke a box and out came a rocket launcher. Now here, if I stand outside too long, the chopper will rip me to shreds in seconds, but I need to be outside to lock onto it. But it hits me and it resets the fucking lock-on mechanism. Do you understand why I'm visibly upset right now? The only good thing about this is that the chopper only takes like 2 hits to die. Then I press a button and open the gate to the next area, which is the administrative building or something like that. In some places, I do like these absolutely gigantic areas with like tall as shit ceilings. Don't want to use the word, but it feels liminal. Now since we faced a chopper, it's natural that now we come face to face with the goddamn tank. Again, in this part, notice how the environment gets destroyed as the tank round hits it. So we find some rocket ammo and of course, now we have to fight the tank. And no, I didn't die like 5 million times here. Nope, cleared it in the first try. Yeah, this was frustrating. Till I managed to find a way to cheese the whole fight. First, I tried my tested method of sidewinder rocket shots. That failed, after looking promising though. But then my 5 IQ brain realized something. I just have to time it right. And that's what I did. Jeez, ain't I a sucker? Then we get into this place through the sewers and find ourselves in some sort of science lab. I really like the music here. It was very nostalgic for some reason. Pure late 90s vibes. Also, like the visuals here felt nostalgic with the soft lights and whatnot, the wide open corridors and the emptiness of it all, I guess. We come across this radiation sucker. What was I smoking when I wrote this shit? So we come across this radiation sucker that sucks the radiation out of this little hole and it goes through these little pipes and that deposit into these tubes and all of this happens and it blows up, opening up a way for us. Nice, I guess. From this area we have to drain the radiation again, but I just took a second and enjoyed the liminality of it all. Soft lighting and big open gold source rooms will forever be my favorite combo. Then we end up in the caves where we find a pistol with infrared vision. The neat thing about this is that it lets us look behind objects and walls to spot enemies. The bad thing is that it works when the enemies are really close to you. Otherwise they don't show up in the night vision at all. We finally go back up, encounter the bane of my existence, the Rocket Man. Now the Rocket Man shoots rocket, as the name implies, but what I hate about the Rocket Man is that he takes a full mag or 2 of the MP5 to die. Like seriously, this man just doesn't die easily. I do have to praise the ambitious way this mod changes up the bullet and damage system. If by chance you manage to hit the enemy in the head, then it only takes 1 bullet. and I think the same goes for us if our helmet is damaged enough. Now, here's the type of surprises I enjoy. This gives me a second or two to react. I like this. Once again in the vents, we end up in the warehouse part of the facility. This whole part is kind of okay. I mean, there's nothing too special about it. We get to fight Marines, open the door, fight more Marines, blast open this gate, and that's it. But here is where I coped and molded the hardest. Now you see, this fuel truck is on fire and I thought it was there for decoration. It was not. You see, it fucking explodes and kills everything in this underground area. So I made a run for it. I died. I made a run for it again, then died again. Then I did my hardest to run as fast as I could, which was the same speed as before, and I finally got to this sewer opening and saved myself. Invasion does a far better job in its layout than Redemption though. It does have the open-ended maps and all that, but the place you need to go to next is located the closest to your starting position. What this means is that you'll naturally end up in the right place, do the thing, and move on. There's very little backtracking or confusion because of this, but there are moments where you get stuck and are left scratching your head about what to do next. So here we turn on these fans, and that allows us to turn on the ventilation, which allows us to open the destroyed tunnel gates. Oh, we also find a M4 rifle here and get to fight Marines in the dark. Very fun. Now you'd think you've come across a dead end here, but guess what? There's this tiny little hole on the side that you can crouch through to get to the other side. Like, I can't even imagine someone playing this back then and immediately figuring this shit out. Now once again, I used one of my patented cheesing methods. I call it the pistol sniper. I stayed in the hole, kept picking off the Marines one by one till no one was left. Now, speaking on the overall mod, I do have to commend the effort that went into it. Visually, it's nothing to scoff at. Gameplay-wise, while it doesn't follow the Half-Life rules, it still provides for a very engaging but also very challenging moments. And like Redemption, this is another Hall of Famer mod that I'm too late to experience myself. Now once again, I saw myself stuck. There was a door, it didn't open. This place had no windows, so I had no clue. But then I remembered, in the other area, two of the pillars of that tower were weak. Then I knew. Okay, you gotta admit, this is pretty goddamn cool. Remember, this is a year before this happened. Because of that, now a part of the building is busted wide open and we can get in. This leads to the military camp. Here, a nerd tells us to keep going and to meet another nerd in the building ahead. Also, there's like snipers who will one-shot us, which is like... cringe. I actually really like this part. It requires the player to be extremely careful, look at the surroundings, see where the snipers are posted. You have the option to sneak in and kill the snipers, or you can do the classic grenade boomy technique. The maps themselves are very reminiscent of Half-Life, specifically the Forget About Freeman levels. So we're clearing out buildings, opening doors, and fighting Marines. Sometimes it's pretty easy, sometimes it's literal hell, but honestly, it's fun. We come across more snipers, turrets, and have a bunch of firefights, and yeah, I really like this variety. Keeps the game really fresh. Moving on, I immediately got sniped as soon as the door opened. This is exactly the cheap shit I was talking about earlier. How was I supposed to know I was gonna get sniped like that? Here, my Beretta was super helpful cause it's accurate and packs a punch. So I literally headshotted all the snipers in this area. Cause I'm cool. Now we're at the building where we have to meet a nerd that will help us or something. Here is where the game becomes like Metal Gear Solid out of nowhere. There's cameras in here, and if you get seen, well... Honestly, I was impressed at the mod, and at myself for figuring out what to do. You see, you break the window and hang out at the ledge, and that's how you get in. Then you shimmy shimmy yeah, and go to the next place, making sure not to get spotted by the cameras. This whole section is like this, no gunfights, just stealth. I really enjoyed peeking around the corners, figuring out what to do with the cameras and whatnot. Then I realized if you're crouched and at a distance, you can kinda go past them without alerting them. This one, however, I couldn't figure out for the life of me, so I just ran into the hole and went on my way. That did alert 5 dozen soldiers that were stationed here, so that was fun. Anyway, I killed a bunch of them and ran for my life, hoping they'd leave me alone. Here we have to go through this door, but of course, there's a camera there and no way to get past it. So we go on a big ass journey just to disable the cameras. It's a lot of sciencey looking places, office rooms, storerooms and whatnot. The lack of any enemies while you're sneaking around is nice, makes it a bit more relaxed. God forbid I'd have to deal with actual Marines moving around. We can also interact with computers and they give us information about what's going on. Most of them aren't that important, but one of these I actually found useful because it had a code, and that code is something we'll have to put into another computer later on to disable the cameras. So going through these is kind of important in a way then. Next we come across a tank full of alien piss. Now the thing is, if I dive into it, I'll die, as one expects, so I need to flush it and then cross it quickly. It's here in the office rooms where we find the code to disable the cameras, but the thing is we need to find another computer, a supercomputer, and enter the code there. Oh, by the way, all these computers are named after Half-Life characters or people from Valve like Rosenberg, Harrington, and Newell. Here I had a gut feeling and turns out I was right. These two planks were keeping this wall intact. This is a serious OSHA violation, all honestly. Now the nerd that was supposed to help us, this is his office. On his computer, he writes that he ran away. What a bitch. But this is the computer where we enter the code and disable the cameras, so finally, that's done. All because we couldn't pass through a fucking gate at the beginning. As we go deeper into the lab, we come across 2 more labs. Each of them houses a power core or something, and we need to turn them on. It's nothing too special. I mean, the atmosphere is nice here, but it's just a bunch of walking around and pushing buttons. First, we turn on this one in the water pool, then we go into the second lab and plop this sucker in to turn on the second core. Doing this, we head back to the central area where we push 2 buttons and this happens, and that gives us a minigun. I'm not sure what the point of all this was. I mean, it might have been told to me earlier, but I wasn't paying attention. Of course, now the soldiers are here too, and their AI seems to be broken. Headless chicken ass. Did I tell you how much I fucking hate these rocket men? Moving on, a new door opens up, and that leads us to the next area. Here we have a pretty cool firefight on these stairs. A bit difficult, but really cool, honestly. And now, a cutscene. I then proceeded to get my ass handed to me, all because every Marine and every chopper pilot is now a eagle-eyed marksman and can immediately drain all my health. Man, what the fuck? Then G-Man shows up again as a hologram is like, man, I'm so disappointed in you, we could have worked together. Anyway, aliens have a specimen or sample or something that they are using to keep a portal open, and G-Man and the Marines are gonna do something about it, and while we have to destroy the sample. Man, look man, this mod is in fucking French, so I lost half the plot as soon as the mod started. Next, this was pretty mid, to be honest. There were a bunch of people in this building, and a chopper above me. I mean, you can call it challenging. I just found it to be I noticed in the next area that a bunch of soldiers were waiting for me, so I picked them off from a distance with my sniper. And then I'll show you where that shot came from. Even though in the footage, while I was reviewing it, it was visible, I didn't see him while I was playing the game. I somehow managed to get to the other side on my second attempt, and looked back, and what a fucking cheap enemy placement. This next part, I'm not even gonna talk about it, just watch. Yeah, that was so much fun. I fucking loved every second of it. After that, I fought invisible Black Ops assassins, and you know how much I hate these enemy types. This mod made them invisible. Jesus Christ! Then we meet another nerd and he gives us the key to a fucking tank and asks us to go rip some shit up or something. So, the tank part, yeah, I mean it's cool, but at the same time very goddamn clunky and later on very frustrating. Problem is, I've played Gunman Chronicles. In that mod, the tank section had amazing controls. But here, Invasion, which came out 4 years later, it's very, very basic and clunky. Worst part is, there's no crosshair and the camera stays at an angle where I couldn't tell where my shot was gonna hit. And oh my fucking god, is this one of the longest vehicle section I've ever seen in a FPS game, like holy shit. Water Hazard and Highway 17 don't have shit on the tank section from Half-Life Invasion. It follows a very simple formula. Drive tank, shoot people, get blocked, open gate, drive tank. And that's it. Along the way, you'll need to look out for mines and rocket men. And oh, there's other tanks too, along with rocket shooting turrets, so yeah, you'll die a bunch if you're not quick to shoot first. It does give you like repair stations that restore the tank's health, but like, there were like 2 of them in this whole scenario, so yeah, it fucking sucked. One section in this tank part had this scenario. 4 turrets on each corner, and they can shoot you through the reinforced glass, but you cannot shoot them. This is sadistic, man. Also, I found a nuke. Literally. Well, it's a mini nuke, but still. You see, the rocket launcher has different types of ammo in this mod. You can basically select the nuke and boom, everything's dead. Now, you see, I was blocked here. There was a gate with a red button on it, but I couldn't open it. On the other side, there's debris that I can't get through, obviously. I spent a good hour here just walking around just to see how can I open this gate and move on. But then it hit me. I have a nuke in my pocket. And so... Now, I want to say my bad, but that'll make me sound stupid, so I'm just gonna blame the mod and move on. After all that, I came across this puzzle and oh my god, I was fuming at this point. Like I almost deleted all the footage I had recorded and I was about to cancel this video, but I had to go on. I had to see what else this mod throws at me. And so randomly, I kinda solved the quote-unquote puzzle. Why do I do this to myself? What's wrong with me? Finally, we get back to Black Mesa and also, is that Babe Ruth? Oh my fucking god. Just looking at this footage, reviewing this clip, I'm getting PTSD, man. I'm traumatized. I mean, just watch. Now if you're thinking, dude, just use cheats. Well, the mod doesn't let me. Literally, typing in God and pressing enter crashes the fucking game. Holy fuck! After half an hour, I finally thought of something. The satchel charge. That did the fucking trick. Then I came across this place. A bunch of conveyor belts, French, TNT boxes. I mean, what? I changed some things on the computer to make the belts go the other way, went in one of the holes. All of that led me back to this place. 1 hour. I spent 1 hour here, trying to figure this shit out, but unfortunately, this is where I throw in the white flag. I give up. I love making long-form videos that cover the whole story from start to finish, and you can only imagine my disappointment that I couldn't finish this one. I mean, I tried. I really did. But in the end, none of it mattered. Just to give you and myself some closure, here's the last cutscene of the mod. Well, shit. The game crashes right at the last moment. So even if I had managed to figure out all of the mod, which was still had quite a ways to go, I would have been met with a game crash at the end as a reward. Overall, Invasion is definitely an ambitious mod. At the time, I know a sense of rules and standards had been set, the Half-Life mapping rules in a way, but this mod kicks all of that out and implements new ideas, fresh ideas, new weapons, new visual effects, vehicles, destructible environments, a whole slew of new locations, fantastic lighting, and somewhat okay map layouts. But it's still a diamond in the rough. From the surface, it looks fantastic, but deep down, there are some glaring issues in its gameplay design. Marines being super accurate, doing extra damage even on the easy difficulty, Gordon's weapons having way too much spread, no damage at all. It's all a counterbalance to all the good stuff this mod has. At the end, I think I'll give this mod a thumbs up still, regardless of how infuriating some parts of it truly were. So yeah, definitely check out Half-Life Invasion. As an alternative, if you're interested in DLC-sized mods, check out Echoes or Delta Particles. Those two have my personal certified recommendations. But yeah, that was Invasion, or at least 2/3 of it. I wish I could have shown you the rest of it, but this project took a week, which is way too long, and I need to make more videos cover other mods. So this is where I get off. Thank you so much for watching, and a big thanks to these benefactors for supporting the channel. The One Epic Player, Maddie160p, Joseph Stalin, Raccoon Eggs, 404 Not Found, Potato King, Corby, Moddb, DeadX, Evox, Flaming Oddball, Paris1911, The Geeler, ATSF GP30, Hawk, Unusual, A Normal Street Lamp, Mr. Spamon, G-Out, Nobody Important, TS Stromer, Scary Stalker, It's Juro, Scooms, Owie, Imperial Embers, T-Boy301, Jack5282, Lucky You, Quiltman, 501st Clone Boy, TTG, Robocop, Noel, Tedosaur, Lamdre, Roadkill, Walter, Fisher Grice, Hawk Assault, Jelen, Tira Droid, and Bipullet. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.